e come away,
All right, what's going on, folks? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of the Bordello. There's a G20 meeting going on right now in Brazil, and there are images circulating of Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni fraternizing with other world leaders. Every time she takes a picture with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Indians all go nuts. I guess because they all think it's cool that, I don't know, that they get along. I think a lot of it is just deep-seated, horny Indian guys on the internet commenting under. Because every time Giorgia Meloni, Italy's prime minister, posts on Instagram, there's Indian people commenting under her posts. And if you've been on the internet, that's not a really crazy idea, right? To grasp that there's Indians on random posts, because there's horny Indians everywhere on the internet. But they're under her posts, I think, disproportionately. I don't see them really commenting on any other posts from Italy or Sky Sport or Serie A News, or they're certainly not commenting on Matteo Salvini's posts, for example. But they're commenting on her posts all the time. So I just assume they're horny. They're always posting about Modi, number one fan. We love Melodi. It's like their fanfic cute nickname that the internet has given to them. And they're world leaders who get along well, who I think have been photographed laughing together. And, there's not much more than that. But I was speaking to an Indian friend of mine who said, no, Indians, we see that, and I don't even know, I'm not really doing an Indian accent here. I'm kind of dogging it. I'll commit, fine. We see that and we say, this is good. We like to pair people. We like to pair people. They're both single, which is true, because Meloni she's ruthless. She's a killer. She lasted, I don't even know if she lasted in the role of prime minister for a year before she got divorced from her husband. She's 2 years into the role now. And so apparently, I didn't know this, but Modi got married when he was 18, and he left his wife a couple years later. They're still legally married in India, but he just abandoned her and went into a life of politics, and kind of just he really didn't acknowledge her until 40 years after. So they're both single, and I guess maybe horny Indian guys just have this dream that that their leader, who they, I guess, are living vicariously through, might bone a blonde European woman. I guess that's what it is. Now, I'll say this. A lot of people give Meloni a hard time because of her party's lineage, which could kind of be dated back to Mussolini's party. Sort of. There are a lot of mergers that happen over time, but it's a little messy. But if you follow the chemtrail all the way back, it goes to Mussolini. It's just a fact. It's what it is. Now she's again, the party's very different from what it was. It's not the same party at all. It's quite literally in name and in principles. It was founded separately, but it was founded with a lot of mergers. And the thing that you have in European governments a lot of the time is there's a lot of coalition situations happening where people join forces and you kind of have to shake hands with the devil. That's the thing that we don't understand in North America right now. It's less of a thing in Canada because there are more than two parties which are in power in government, and they kind of have to, coexist with each other. But it's that whole concept, which is very much prominent in Europe, is very foreign to people in the States now, where it's very binary and it's we're good, they're evil. Where the best politicians in the United States actually can reach across the political aisle. But in the last 10 years, that whole idea has kind of gone out the window because each side views the other as being quite bad. And to be honest, both make pretty compelling cases. I don't necessarily agree with all of them, but many of the arguments are kind of made in a way that are at least kind of relatively ideologically consistent. And so there's a lot of people feel they have a lot of veracity to their claims that the other side is evil in the United States, and there's not a lot of coexistence. But that's a thing that exists in other parts of the world in government. You have to kind of get in bed with the enemy. You have to get in bed. Sometimes you got to shake hands with the fascists for a greater goal. You got to wink to them sometimes to get elected, and it doesn't mean you're fascist, but that is Meloni's party. That is kind of That's the history of her party. And because of that, she gets a very hard time. And she kind of gets branded as a racist because she, because of the links to, the historical fascist party, but then also kind of because of some anti-immigration stuff, which is, probably kind of more rooted in, it might pander to, it probably panders to the rat brain a little bit, of people who don't want immigrants because they just don't like seeing Sri Lankans selling those toys that go splat on the streets of Rome. That could be a thing that she's appealing to, but it is, I think, largely what is argued is that it's an economic thing. We're not going to offer social services to these people. We have a declining birth rate. Let's try to keep it in house. And she invokes a little bit about values and culture. Which, is there anything wrong with that? I don't know. It's a bit of a safety blanket. It feels nice. It's a blankie. It's a comfort blanket. But as an Italian citizen, as a voter, I hear that and I go, okay, maybe I'm not really the best person to kind of judge this sort of thing because I'm an Italian abroad, who's like a generation removed. So I maybe romanticize the culture a little bit more, but I get it. Anyway, I see how it appeals to some people, but that freaks folks out. If you don't agree with her, her detractors will kind of brandish her with the racist card, and she could do well to sit on Modi's little Indian samosa. It could be a good move. She would do very well to dispel any rumors that she's racist if she could get with, respectfully. I mean, Modi, he's an Indian guy, but he's a head of state. I think that two heads of government striking up a romance. I mean, there's a sitcom there. That's a rom-com. There's a rom-com there. There's definitely a rom-com there. Maybe not a sitcom. I don't know if we could squeeze multiple seasons out of that, but we could squeeze 90 minutes, 100 minutes out of that for sure. They're from two different worlds. She's the leader of the party that descends from Benito Mussolini's party and is loved by far-right Italian fascist football fans. He's a quiet vegetarian from India who's a stoic Hindu. They couldn't be more diametrically opposed. She yells. He's very quiet. A very unlikely match. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a political advisor, but if I were one, I could see the case where you could tell Meloni, just date the man. Date the man. Pull a Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Whether or not that's real, I don't know. But maybe do it for publicity. She sheds the racist image if she, dates this guy. Again, he's not some fucking cab driver. You know what I'm saying? He's not some, I know we think of Indians and we think, oh no, brandish the knife, I'm gonna rape you on the bus. But this is not Modi. He's an educated guy. He's a fucking world leader. Okay? Who's able to switch codes and play both sides, I guess. He's very popular in India. I think he has a high approval rating. He's gotten elected 3 times over 10 years. Most recently a couple months ago, I think. So he's able to appeal to the masses, I guess. I don't even know how the rules work in India. I don't even know if everyone's even fucking allowed to vote. I don't know. I guess they say it's the biggest democracy in the world. I don't suppose it's the best run. If it were, I wouldn't suspect that there would be as many people leaving there to come to live, next to where I live now, downtown in Montreal. But I think that could be a good move for Meloni. The problem is, listen, she'll never do it. That's the thing, though. The Indians that actually kind of are like wishfully hoping for this, they think it's like a cute thing. Maybe not just Indians. I don't. Let's just say anyone that looks at it and says, "Oh, that's a fun thing. Maybe they could date." Like that'll never happen. Listen, Giorgia Meloni's not stupid. She's nothing if not smart. Okay, and the last thing she's gonna do is isolate her base. While she may not be necessarily like openly racist, I don't know what she says after a couple of glasses of Barolo, with her, with the inner circle. I don't know. I would suspect it's probably a lot of the same jokes that you'll make when you're having Barolo with your friends. But openly, she's not really racist as far as I could tell. She's not racist as far as I can tell. She's not like an ethno superior. She's not like into ethno superiority or any of that weird, She's not into eugenics or any of that shit. She's not like that, okay? But she's nothing if not smart, and she knows her base, and she's got to know that that's not going to look very good, for the right leaning. Maybe this is all part of the rom-com. She isolates her base, but that's not good for the right leaning coalition that she's the head of. That's not a good look if she listen. I promise you, Giorgia Meloni's not gonna wind up fucking dating a man who wears a fucking sheet, okay? like perish the thought. It's a fun thing. They take pictures together. That's it. She's playing good politics. Let's end it there. Let's end it right there, man. But. In some ways, like the U.S. are barely even like a serious country anymore. The way that like a lot of countries now are kind of, I think the U.S. kind of voted for common sense with Trump for sure, but it's definitely like he's not the messenger that's gonna bring about normalcy anymore. The new normal that's been brought about through the insanity of Trump is not really something that is normal in politics. Like, it's very banana republic, like the way that Trump kind of goes about communicating his message. And in some ways, it's very effective to the stupids. But, like, you would think that if J.D. Vance is around in a couple of years, touch wood. I don't want him. I don't know why I'm saying if he's around. I mean, he should be alive. I guess I don't want him to die. So touch wood. I don't want, a guy with kids and a wife to die, in his 40s. But I was just thinking that there are actually maybe some people that are fathers of families that I actually know who I think should die, and the kid would be better off for it. But let's assume that Vance is not one of those guys. He seems, screwed in. He seems like a good dude overall. And I think he's got like a good. He's able to kind of play both sides. He's able to, appeal to the masses. I do think he's well spoken, which is something that we don't really, haven't. We haven't had that in U.S. politics in like 8 years now. So if he were to run as like the head of the, the Republican Party as the nominee in a couple of years, you would think that would be like a nice return to normalcy, where you have a serious person that kind of is focused on serious issues. You kind of want your head of state to be better than you. You kind of want the head of state to be somebody who lives a very idealistic life. That's obviously not the case in a lot of, Bill Clinton, for instance, just in terms of very kosher vanilla ones. I mean, the stuff he was getting into was at least like legal. Like he fucked and liked women. All right, like what's new there? It's also been alleged that other fucking, heads of state have liked fucking kids. But that's a little more. It's a little more, the verdict is out on some of that shit. It's kind of more like a whisper, on the internet. So let's stick to shit that we know, all right? Bill Clinton had vices, fine. J.D. Vance kind of seems like a straight edge. I don't know what his vice is. Maybe it's just, hard work, right? Because he kind of comes from a weird, like, a weird, he had a weird upbringing, right? I think he had a single mom, and his mother wound up getting addicted to opioids, and he's talked about it a lot. And, that probably does something to a guy where it puts a chip on your shoulder and you want to come back strong and, carve out your place in the world. Like, that might be his thing, that he just wants to work to, I fucking hope I don't, I hope, reports never come out that he's like some crazy sex fiend or something at some point. And just, make this whole diatribe, kind of feel like it's completely missing the mark. But I feel like he seems like a pretty straight edge. I think that's actually why he got picked. Let's go out on a limb and say the thing that kind of drives him is just a will to be kind of better. Maybe from having like had a weird upbringing. That's a good figure. That's a good figure, to run in an election, I think. And there's just been such a weird, there's been a really strange like breakdown in discourse over the last little while, to the point that now, after Trump got elected 2 weeks ago, I saw last week he met Biden at the White House and they're shaking hands. And that was seen as like a good moment, and it was, but that used to be the norm. Like, it's incredibly normal that two heads of state just shake hands and are civil. The incumbent, and the president-elect, the two heads of the government are like ships crossing in the night. They're shaking hands and having to sit down and being civil. That's kind of what it's always been about. You'd feel that if Vance were to become president and then eventually lose, or whatever, say he serves 8 years and then fucking it's a Republican again who comes in next, you would think that like there'd be a civil sit down. Actually, I mean, if it's another Republican who comes in after Vance, in this weird hypothetical world I'm creating, that it's kind of a moot point because they ideally they would agree on most ideas. So let's say Vance wins an election, and then the next person coming in is a Democrat who on paper, is on the other side of the aisle and doesn't really agree with him on most shit. You would expect J.D. Vance to sit down and be civil. The thing with Trump is, like, he always throws the toys out of the pram, right? So there's a real, like, weird shift away from being civil anymore. So now, like, look, obviously, like, most women, most, like, liberal women now, okay, a lot of them are completely nuts. Like, just a lot of the weird ideas that are propagated in society now are completely crazy. Like you actually have to not be paying attention to actually believe some of the things that, a lot of my peers, my female peers, believe. I don't mean to just pick on women. I'm just talking about, like, kind of like all the weird, like, kind of like illogical, hyper liberal leftist shit now that's kind of that goes against common sense. Stuff that, like, in order to buy into, you kind of have to be a little bit nuts. Maybe you're a dumb person. That's fine, but it feels like there's a really uncivil level of discourse now that kind of is top down. So Trump's now kind of ultimately, like, it does fire you up. It is fun to see him say some of the stuff he says, but it's like probably not really, I don't know how healthy it is for him to, like, kind of, dunk on opponents. It's so fun to watch. But, like, when Don Jr. is posting memes of, like, the left crying, it's like, okay, these people are dumb. They're mentally ill. They're crying because someone just became president of the States. They think is going to be a fascist. I guess anything's possible. But, fuck, if Trump doesn't just step down in 4 years, I'll eat my hat. Like, he's obviously going to go away. And what might people allege then? That he's going to have a hand in picking a replacement? Like, okay, but it's also been alleged that Barack Obama, has kind of been, like, still running shit kind of in the shadows with Biden, in that it's the same establishment that has been governing, and that if Kamala, however the fuck I'm supposed to say her name, if Kamala had won, it would have been, continuation of that same kind of that same kind of regime. It's not an uncommon thing to see. It's really not an uncommon thing to see. I don't know how good it is for the system, but it's not uncommon to see continuity where similar figureheads just wind up becoming the president while similar, stuff is pursued. So yeah, so Trump's probably he's gonna step down in 4 years. All right. If you think he's not, that's crazy. You're a little dumb, but you don't have to be mean to these people. Like when Don Jr. posts memes, yeah, they're funny, but it's not a Christian thing to do. To make fun of liberal women who don't have kids who are spazzing. It's yeah, they're spazzing. They don't have kids and they're 39. So it's like I don't want to, I'm trying to sound like Jordan Peterson here, but there's probably value to having kids. If you don't have kids, not just as a woman, as a human, as a person, what's the point of even existing? It's we need to have kids to keep the thing going. So I feel like if we don't have kids, I think we all kind of start to spaz. We all get away from what we're supposed to be. And I guess because men can keep having kids, maybe they don't quite lose it as much as women seem to. More women seem to be able to not stomach Trump. And I know a lot of women, more than ever have before voted for him, but a lot of women find him to be disgusting. And it's and they can't, a lot of people just can't get over how he sounds. And many arguments that are made are kind of vapid. And it's okay, we don't have to make fun of them. We don't have to make fun of them and say, they're all mentally ill, they all have anxiety, they're all on meds. Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know how accurate some of the claims I've heard made are, but let's assume that it's true, okay? I heard some claim that apparently 50 or 60% of liberal women now are apparently have some kind of mental illness. Whatever that means, it's a weird, vague term. But if that's true, are we supposed to finger point and make fun of them? They're fucking mentally ill. Yeah, they're crazy. They've been conditioned to be crazy by society. They've been conditioned to be crazy by consuming the media that has been pushed on people. So I don't know. It feels like it. So look, just to say, in a lot of ways, the government of the U.S. feels less serious now than it ever has. And I do think that Trump is making good appointments. It's very encouraging. I like a lot of the appointments that are being made. Who gives a shit what I think? I'm not even, I'm a hopeful American. I'd like to have, American citizenship someday. It'd be great. But it's a country I share, values with. It's, it's one of the most important countries in the world. It's arguably kind of the pinnacle of I know there's different metrics of what makes a country successful, but it's kind of the place you'd want to live, en masse. If you ask most people anywhere in the world, I'm sure it's the people in Sweden or in Denmark are happy to live there. I get that. Whatever, they do rank higher on some of these indices. Europe is fine. Most of the West is. It's not the point. Okay, I'm saying this as a person who's kind of an observer who gives a shit about the United States. And, and who's a cousin of the U.S., right? Canadians and Americans were cousins. So, culturally, same thing with, the English and other, former Commonwealth countries and so on. So, the states are kind of no longer really a serious operation. And yes, again, I think the appointments being made by Trump are going to be, are going to pursue very serious, policy. I'm not saying they're unserious in their goals, but I'm saying the very fact that Trump and Biden are sitting down having a handshake is being lauded as being this good moment for the country, which it is kind of indicative of how shit things have been for a little while. It's yeah, all right, Biden probably, the people that, may not have been Biden directly, but the government organizations that Biden was technically the head of probably tried to kill Trump in July. And Trump knows that, and now they're sitting down, and they're okay about it because it's all business, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're kind of supposed to kill your political opponents. It's not good, but let's not be naive. Let's be adults. It's what's gone on forever. There's always been weird, shadowy shit going on where you're trying to rig elections, and you're trying to, get dirt on this person, and you're trying to kill opposition quietly. Maybe you slip a little something into his tea. They fucking killed a pope, I think, in the 80s. It was in The Godfather 3. It's... crazy shit happens all the time, all right? But it's all business. They could sit down. Yeah, I said shit about your son. I said shit about the fact that you covered for him. And I've talked about how your son's a criminal and how you're a criminal. But okay, you were padding your pockets a little bit. Everyone does it. It's just business. Of course, you were looking out for your son. I would do the same thing. Up until a few years ago, I thought that Don Jr. was dumb. And now he's proved a little more useful because there's value in posting, incendiary memes and shit on the internet now. So he's part of the culture war. But yeah, Trump gets it. I was just speaking in the first person as Trump. I wasn't doing the accent because it's played out. But yeah. So, Meloni and Modi are part of, it's a reversion. Meloni in particular is a reversion of a serious leader who kind of, gives a shit about kind of like sharing inconvenient truths. I think Modi's very much one of those guys. I mean, to govern a place like India that's like way more traditional, I think, you kind of have to be a serious person. You have to be very, particular in how you carry yourself. I think that's why, globally now, a lot of countries kind of are pushing back, have been for a while. The counterculture now is to kind of like revert to like discipline and good practices and what's best. And I think that's why, Pierre Poilievre is probably going to get elected this upcoming year and why Trudeau will get ousted. Because it's like, listen, Poilievre isn't going to be one of those guys who comes out and says, we're going to ban you from smoking weed at 1 a.m. But he's a guy who, if you asked, is it good to smoke weed at 1 a.m.? He'd say no. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we should ban smoking weed at 1 a.m. There's a lot of people who need it. They have nothing going on. They're stupid. They got to be out fucking burning the night away, burning their brain cells, fucking smoking weed. I do once in a while, by the way, but it's not the point. I'm saying it's not good to do that. Like, I could look at that as an objective thing. That's like, all right, if that was my kid, I'd spaz. I'd say, listen, it's not a good thing. I wouldn't want my kid to be fucking smoking weed all the time at 1 a.m. I don't think it's good for productivity, but I get why people do it. And, like, we can't make that shit illegal. But, there are people now that are coming out kind of sharing inconvenient things, hardship, not hardship, just tough things to hear, tough pills to swallow. Yep, this is how it is, and I'm gonna tell you this is how I feel. We the numbers are what they are. We don't have a duty to take care of any other country's citizens. We have to put our citizens first. These are things that aren't really nice to hear, but they're kind of essential in a lot of ways. By the way, when Pierre Poilievre runs in a few months, they're going to try to paint him as a fascist also. Like, the crazy people in Canada are going to say he's a fascist because that's the card that, that the modern left uses. Is they say that whoever the modern right candidate is a fascist. That's the way that they try to get people on, their team now. But it's going to be real tough to do that with Poilievre and say that he's an extremist and that he's, an incendiary person, because he's just a nerd. Pierre Poilievre has been around since he was like 18, 19, 20. He was just writing about fucking free markets and politics. He's just like this wholesome Canadian. Yep, I love Canada, and we're gonna get you guys working in the oil fields again. It's like there's nothing on him. He's a little similar to JD Vance, I think, where he's kind of he's just a beast who pursues goals. He's better than you. Like, you got to accept that some people are better than you. Like, the guy who should be running for president or prime minister of any given head of state position should be better than you. There's a guy I know from high school who's on my Sunday league team right now. He's better than me. He's an actuarial mathematician, and he went to Germany for a little while. He was there for a couple years getting paid very handsomely, and he returned back home to marry his girlfriend of several years, who, the dots were connected the other day, went to high school with my girlfriend. Now, my girlfriend and I, we're sharp. Like, we're not stupid people, but we're both kind of idiots. Like, sometimes, you'll have a conversation with either of us and say, he's a little... I know that I fucking sound like an idiot sometimes in conversation. That's why she and I are good together, because we kind of know our level of intellect, and you're not really going to pull a fast one on us. We're sharp and we're paying attention, but we like Tom Ford cologne, okay? We like Dolce & Gabbana candles. That's stupid. That's really stupid. We like shiny things. I'm less disciplined. I'm on Instagram or YouTube, consuming podcasts. I don't really have a substance addiction, but I have like a crazy dopamine addiction. And I really should get it under wraps, okay? My friend and his girlfriend, his fiance, wife-to-be, they're better than us. Neither of them are on Instagram. I wasn't until years ago. Like, I barely went on Instagram. I had a burner account that I would just follow, like, footballers on, and I barely even went on it. And I kind of, with comedy in the pod, I kind of, I made it my personal account. But I had a goal to, like, never get on Instagram. And I was really proud of that. I felt better than other people, and I was better than other people. I was. Now I'm not. My buddy and his girlfriend, all right, they're better than you. They're better than me. My girlfriend is talking to his fiance on the touchline, all right, where the wags are congregated. And Paula hasn't seen her in years. And she's like, Can I follow you on Instagram? And she's like, I'm not really on Instagram. She doesn't even say it like a bitch. She's like being honest. She's a good girl. She's like, oh, I'm not really on it. Like, I have an account because like the wedding photographer wanted to, send us stuff or tag us and stuff. So I had to create an account. Paula looks, it's like, it's two people. She doesn't use the account. They don't scroll. These people don't scroll. They consume news in healthier ways. They're better than us. That's Pierre Poilievre. That's J.D. Vance. That is, and I'm not saying this because they're right-wing guys. I'm just saying this because I think they're serious people. It's going to be very weird in 4 years if J.D. Vance is a nominee where if the Dems are stupid enough to paint him as a fascist now. Say, oh, well, he allowed Trump to run amok. Especially after, if Trump has a good presidency, a good second term, it's going to be really crazy for people to say that about, J.D. Vance. I would assume. Again, I'm predicting into the future. You never know what the fuck happens. He could be a freak, for all anyone knows. I don't really think that's the case. But but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna talk about shit that's gonna happen in the future. Let's look at things retrospectively, things that we do know. Hindsight. I'm a hindsight guy. I'm not a speculative guy. I like looking at the past and knowing what I know. I like looking at the past and saying I'll make judgment based on things that have happened. The cowardly way. I'm not gonna stand on a soapbox and say I think I know what's gonna happen. But if this is a hypothetical that could be maybe a bit of a prediction of how things could go in a few years, yeah, some people are just better than you. People that don't scroll exist. They are better than us. And by the way, these people aren't squares. Like, they have senses of humor. Like, they can hang. They're just disciplined, and they know what they want to do, and they're okay with that. They're not trying to be a stand-up comic going on fucking Kill Tony, talking about the age of consent to get a pop, all right? Like, they got it figured out. They've got it figured out. They know what they want to do in life, and they're just doing it. Like, these people exist. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Poilievre is just kind of a simple guy. A lot of them, kind of get branded as squares because they're not all that fun. Like, all right, like they're not flipping off of roofs, on Molly, but it's like I'm sure they're fun to go out to dinner with and have conversations with. That's, there's a thing I like to call Jesuit school fun. Jesuit school fun. You kind of fear God a little bit. You went to school, you got a little, you got a little business maybe or a legal practice. You have a son, all right, stay on the straight path, but when I was your age, I smoked cigarettes once in a while. All right, it's okay. But ultimately, you still get up, you go to the gym, you got a wife, you have a kitchen with marble in it. And, and some of those people cheat on their wives, okay? That's most of their fucking vices is a lot of them, because a lot of them are so disciplined So some of them is alcohol, some of them it's fucking, some of them it's they philander. But generally, it's a lot of, very vanilla, seemingly square guys who just have a thing that they like. Their thing is often sports. They like sports, and, they drive their son around to hockey practice or basketball practice. And that's kind of fine. I don't even associate with people like this that much anymore, because I'm around comics all the time. I went to my high school, like reunion, to my 10 year, because we graduated in grade 11 in Quebec, so I'm 27, so it's 17 when was turning 17 when I graduated, so I feel like I got to justify that because I'm fucking self-conscious about the fact that I'm getting older. I don't want people to think I'm 28. I'm only 27. I just turned 27. I'm not 28, please. Okay. I'm in my prime. It's funny. We actually should be in our prime. Fucking half the guys on my Sunday league team now, because I refounded my this old team that I ran for years after last year I wasn't allowed to play on a winter league team because of the fact I got kicked off by a bunch of kids who were by the way, maybe a little too Jesuit school. It is possible to be too much of a square, which is what some of the guys on my team were. You still got to be able to have a sense of humor. But, yeah, a lot of us on my current Sunday league team are very much not in our physical primes. I'm doing all right. I still got abs, but fuck, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop, So anyway, right, okay, I'm weaving. So 27, right, still a young man in my prime, high school reunion. Don't hang around a lot of these guys a ton anymore. It's been great to play soccer every Saturday the past 3 weeks with them, because the Sunday league team that I'm running is made up of like kind of guys from a few walks of life. Like some of them are guys I wound up playing soccer with, like a couple of Arab guys I like played soccer with, over the past few years who I like. But most of the team is like, the reason I'm saying they're Arabs is because I went to a Catholic all boys school, so there's no, there were no muzzies in the fucking school. Like there are some people that I played with more recently that are just like friends of mine, but most of the core of the team are guys from high school. Like guys who played on like the soccer team in high school, and so I've been seeing them a lot lately, and these people are fucking well adjusted, and when I went to the 10-year, I'm in a room with like dozens of them for the first time in a long time, and again I keep in touch with like a lot of them individually, but to be around them, it was a Catholic all boys high school, okay, just to be around a bunch of guys who were all kind of cool, who were all like, no one's really jealous. Maybe subconsciously you're kind of like looking at who else is doing what, and maybe there's a little bit of like comparison there. But pretty much everyone's a good guy, and it's great. Like, it was so nice to be around like well-adjusted people again, and it's a nice reminder to be like, oh, you don't have to fucking be crazy all the time, just because you're the fucking dancing monkey now that's trying to entertain people. But yeah. Well, I'm all over the map here. Look, let's pivot. I've had like 3 fucking facial hair styles in the last week. I had a full beard, which was getting a little bit much. And I wanted to shave it because it was just getting to be annoying. I wanted a fresh start, and I was flirting with the idea of doing it. I was telling my girlfriend. I said, yeah, I'm kind of over the beard. And she says, yeah, it looks like shit. I was like, no, that's not at all what I meant. I think it looks good. She's like, oh yeah, it's too long. I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm shaving it. Then I shave it, and then I get shit because apparently I don't have I'm mewing right now, so it's not real. I'm juicing, but like, apparently I don't have like a strong jawline. I learned I like kind of don't have a chin. It could be because I'm a fucking phone addict, so I'm like looking down at my phone all the time. I feel like when I was like 19 and didn't have facial hair, like my jawline was better than it is. But now I've actually gone back and looked at old pictures. I kind of have a fucking really bad chin. I really look like Chris Moltisanti. I used to watch The Sopranos, and Adriana's obviously really attractive. And I used to look at Chrissy and be like, I would say what fucking Tony said about him. I'd be like, he's average. He's average at best. I'd be like, Chrissy is a nose and a fucking double chin. Look at me. Look at me in profile right now. This is Chrissy. Because without the beard, this isn't me flexing my jaw. Okay. I'm holding my neck back here like I'm wearing a turtleneck. I'm kind of cheated. But look at me fucking raw dog right now. You're looking at Chris Moltisanti right now. If I didn't have this fade and I let my hair grow in for 2 weeks, I'm Chris Moltisanti. It's crazy. So, yeah, I don't know. So I shave. I keep the mustache just to kind of feel like a man still, Then I walk around, and every time I see myself in the mirror, I go, plata o plomo. Now I had to shave that down too. So we're like a few days in of stubble, kind of growing it back for the holidays. And it's like nothing's ever good enough. My mom, she won't let my fucking father get a beard. Or, God, I sounded like a wop there. My mother won't. I sound like such a wop. Bro, my mom, she won't let my dad get a beard. My mother will not stand for my father growing a beard. He's in his late 50s. He looks fine. He's a good-looking guy. He looks good. He's well-groomed. He looks better with a beard. When you get older, you generally look better with a beard. If it's well-maintained and it's a good, it's a well-balanced beard. It's a well-done beard. Yeah, I don't know. And by well done, I don't mean well done like steak. I mean like medium rare. And by that, I mean, you could overdo a steak. You could overdo a beard. Like some guys that try too hard, they're older. They have like the fucking weird, like, flabbier faces because they don't have the strong fucking jawline. Like, unless you're fucking Rogan taking TRT and shit, like, and lifting, kettlebells. But a lot of guys, when they get to his age, could still look good. But, they look their age. The skin might sag a little bit. So you got to be very mindful about how to line the beard. A lot of older guys fuck it up. They go too low on the cheeks. It looks like shit. So there's just like a gray, like, chin strap that they got going on. That's like a well-done steak. You've overdone it. You've overdone the beard. You got to just let it come in natural and then just clean up under the jaw. That's it. You do that as an older guy, you're fucking flying. My mom doesn't like the beard on the older guys, like my father, because on George Clooney, it's fine, apparently, but on my father, no. My father looks more like Clooney when he fucking grows the beard out, but for some reason, she doesn't like the beard on him. But if she sees Clooney with a beard, she'll go, oh yeah, he looks good. Like, it's very weird. Like, my father's in his late 50s. He's supposed to have salt and pepper in his beard. He's supposed to have gray in his beard. It freaks my mom out. She's like, oh, he looks old. It's like, yeah, he's a man in his 50s. Let him have a beard. She won't let him do it. Me, if I shave, it's the end of the world. What'd you do with your beard? It looked good. But then if the beard goes too long, it's the end of the world. Not it's the thing with like Italian parents, immigrant parents, whatever, like Christian parents. Oh, now you look like ISIS. That's what they all say. Because like older people that are like Christian that aren't Muslim, they don't have Muslim backgrounds. Fucking in Islamic culture, I think a lot of them fucking grow up beards more, so it's less like. I mean, it looks like shit, largely, but it's seen as like less creepy. Mediterranean Christians see that shit, they say, oh, you look like ISIS. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm maybe just going shadow. I'm just accepting my jawline for what it is. I might have to keep the beard trim just to humble myself, and track my mewing progress as I fucking tighten my jawline, tighten my neck. You could flex your neck muscles. Like if you just put your tongue to the roof of your mouth, which is where it's supposed to be if you have like a strong jawline and you fucking chewed meat most of your life, and you swallow, you create suction in your mouth. That's supposed to be like how you tighten your jaw and like correct your facial posture and structure. Bro, I did that the other day. My neck muscles were sore. Like I'm just getting over it now. It's been 2 days of like really bad musculo-soreness in my neck because that's how weak, I guess, my fucking jawline was. I used to think I was a stud as a kid. When I was like 19, I thought I was like the best looking kid out there. Like, no. I look at other kids now with the strong jawline who are taller, and I'm like, well, that's all it's about. I literally thought I could have had if I was confident in my dick size too, if I thought, oh yeah, like I could literally have been 19, the height I was, which was like average height, jawline, which was very average, and thinking I'm the fucking best looking kid in the world because I fucking get manicures and get my eyebrows waxed, and I might think, well, what do I have to hide? I have a huge dick. Doesn't matter. I'm not saying I literally have. I'm just saying hypothetically I could be a person who thinks if I'm a kid who's 19, I have a huge dong, and I think, all right, great, I'm flying. No one gives a shit about your dick because they can't see it. They give a shit when they can see it. You know what I'm saying? It's useless to you. I'm kind of all right. I'm not gonna edit this out, but I'm kind of fucking up the point here because I'm trying to. Okay. When I was younger, I used to think I was really attractive because I took care of my look. I was not tall enough to be like universally, if you look at me and you go, whoa, who the fuck is that? And I didn't have a cutting jawline that I would walk into a room and say, people say, oh, who the fuck is that? So I'm saying, without those, I could have hypothetically had a huge dong, been even more confident, thinking, what the fuck else do I need? I got a huge dong. I'm taking care of myself. I got a six-pack. At the time I did, I was fucking very, 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 very cut. And it means nothing. All that matters is it's height and jawline. Height and jawline are all that matter to draw people in. You could have a tiny dick, tall, good jawline. The dick is a problem for later. You know what I'm saying? If you have a big dick and you're tall and you have a fucking, cut jawline, congratulations. You won the lottery, and the lady who fucking finds out is going to be very happy. But she'll be willing to find out and, and date you in a very pious relationship, a very, under God, a courtship. She'll be happy to be courted by you and hope to find out at some point what you're working with. And if it's not all that, well, she'll be like, well, who could blame me? I mean, look at him. I had to try. If you don't have those things and you have a huge dong, congratulations. You won the lottery, but nobody fucking knows. It's a nice little Easter egg for the lady who finds out. My jawline is not good enough. I don't know. All right. Well, this was more political than I thought it would be, but let's cap it there. We've done a lot of pods the last couple of days. I'm sure everyone's fucking sick of hearing from me, but we'll be back next week. We have a lot of stuff we didn't even get to this week. Fuck it. Let's keep it in the can. Let's keep it in the can. Let's leave them wanting more. If you enjoyed this, comment if you'd like, or just subscribe if you'd like, or leave a like on this if you'd like, and on Instagram, wherever, TikTok, if you'd like. I'm Sam Adamo, if you'd like. We post clips of the pod sometimes, so check that out. Check that out. Keep tuning into the pod. We'll be back again in a week. Thank you for your time. Have a great week. Much love. Ciao.